of the year go. If you would, please stand with me for the pledge and our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, we invite your presence at our meeting this evening. Please help us to find common purpose and make us effective and wise representatives for the citizens of Billings. We thank you for the blessings that we enjoy as Americans, Montanans, and residents of our great city. We also remember those less fortunate and pray that you will help us extend a special measure of grace and come alongside those who are cold, hungry, alone, depressed, or otherwise struggling during this holiday season. We also lift up to you the families and friends of those who have recently lost loved ones and for whom the holidays may be painful reminders of their loss, including the families and friends of the 4 teenagers who were killed in the terrible automobile accident this weekend. We also ask that you provide as much comfort as possible for those who have recently suffered loss and help us to support them so that they feel the love and encouragement of other family members, friends, and a sympathetic community. Amen. Amen. Denise, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Shaw.
Councilmember Shaw is traveling, and so she is excused.
Okay. Gulick.
Here.
Neese.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Joy.
Present.
Chiriki.
I am here.
Tidswell.
Here.
Purinton.
Here.
Boyette.
Here.
Repsis.
Here.
Mayor Cole.
Here. Moving on, we don't have minutes for approval this evening, so we'll move immediately into council courtesies. And I'm going to begin with 2 sets of council courtesies, and starting off with most important. This is our last city council meeting for 2 members of our city council who have served diligently for 4 years. And that's Councilmembers Chiriki and Councilmember Purinton. And we appreciate them, and we have a small token of appreciation in the form of plaques. So I'm going to ask that Councilmember Chiriki and Councilmember Purinton stand so that we can make this official. And going to make this presentation, and we've always appreciated their dedication. These are a couple council members who almost never miss a council meeting, who work hard communicating with their constituents and always have something to offer. So Councilmember Chiriki, Councilmember Purinton, and can we have a round of applause for these dedicated public servants? And if you were thinking that excuses you for the rest of the meeting, you're wrong. That's right. If you want your monthly paycheck, although I at this point I have no idea if we're paid in advance or afterwards, so maybe you can leave. I don't know. So
One check left.
is that okay? Again, thank you very much, and other council members, I'm sure would echo what I said, or feel free to add things as well. So the other council courtesy I just wanted to offer is last week the president of the Friends of the USS Billings, Ron Spence, general manager of the Billings Hotel and Convention Center, traveled for the holiday down to Naval Station Mayport for the annual holiday party for the crew of the USS Billings, and did that to extend our wishes and bring some special gifts to the crew, and they send their special wishes of back to our city. And Naval Station Mayport is a very large naval base in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, that has dozens of Navy ships and of all different sizes, and the littoral combat ships, of which the Billings is in that class. They have never received the award for the best looking ship. They actually give this award every month. But that's changed with the Billings. The Billings has actually won that award 3 times, including this month. So in recognition of that, we gave them ornaments made here in Billings, holiday ornaments, Christmas ornaments. So if you would like one, we have we had some extras made. So please take one and pass them. And this is what they look like. They have the insignia of the ship or the outline of the ship, and Happy Holidays 2023 on the other side. So hopefully that's a nice remembrance of the ship. And thank you very much. And with that, other council courtesies this evening. Do we have any other council courtesies? All right, we'll move on then to our proclamation. We have one this evening, recognition of the Homeless Persons Memorial Day. I appreciate Council Member and Deputy Mayor Boyette, who read this on the courthouse lawn this past week. Whereas December 21st, 2023 has been designated as a Homeless Persons Memorial Day by the National Coalition for the Homeless and the National Health Care for the Homeless Council. Whereas men, women, and children living without permanent housing in the city of Billings are in need of shelter, safety, nutrition, and health care. And whereas Health Care for the Homeless, a program of Riverstone Health, serves about 2,000 patients, and Health Care for the Homeless provides medical visits, nurse visits, and case manager visits at their clinics at 2424 First Avenue North and at St. Vincent de Paul. Additionally, the program provides medical, behavioral, and dental health care for homeless individuals at Riverstone Health Clinic. And whereas the Billings community has a responsibility to address the factors that contribute to homelessness, including poverty, lack of affordable housing, lack of access to mental health care, and lack of access to addiction treatment, whereas the annual Homeless Persons Candlelight Vigil, organized by Health Care for the Homeless, will honor the memory of the 8 people known to have died unhoused in Billings in 2023. The citizens of Billings are invited and encouraged to participate in the vigil at 12:15 on December 21st on the lawn of Yellowstone County Courthouse. And now, therefore, I, William Cole, Mayor of the City of Billings, do hereby proclaim December 21, 2023, the longest night, shortest day of the year, as Homeless Persons Memorial Day in Billings. That concludes our proclamations. We'll move on to council reports. Is there any reports from members of the council from organizations that we serve on? Okay, then administrator reports. Chris.
Mayor and Council, I'll be brief. As you mentioned, this is our last official meeting for the year, first thing. Second is just a reminder, we do have orientation tomorrow afternoon for our 2 newly elected council members. We will be here, the location change. We were at the Miller Building. We will be meeting at City Hall, covering administration, finance, IT, legal. So if anybody wants to join us, they're welcome to. There's plenty of room there. We'll be in the conference room downstairs. Also a reminder, tomorrow is the community partners meeting out at City College. So that, I believe, starts at 11 and is expected to wrap up right around 1 o'clock, 1:15. We did have on item number 7, I have that right? Yeah, item number 7, Planning Director sent an ex parte communication to the Mayor and Council after 3 p.m. concerning regular agenda item number 7. The correspondence has been placed in the ex parte notebook, and Wyeth will obviously be presenting on that. And that is all that I have, Council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on then to public comment on non-public hearing items. So this is your opportunity to be heard actually on everything on our agenda, with one exception, and that's number 2. We'll have a public hearing later on item number 2, which is the Met Transit program of projects. So you, don't comment. If that's what you're interested in, don't come forward to the podium. But if there's anything else on our agenda tonight, this is your opportunity. We just ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and tell us your name and address. Steve.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Steve Armistead, Big Sky Economic Development. I live at 1081 Strawberry Avenue. You already recognized two council members who are finishing their service. Well, I want to double down on Councilwoman Harrington. She finished her service, also serving as an ex officio board member. There we go. Ex officio board member on the Big Sky Economic Development Board. We held our last board meeting last week, and I wasn't able to get this to you then, Pam, and I thought today, how can I get this? I know where Pam will be at 5:30. So, Pam, I want to thank you for your service on our board. It was very, very much appreciated. As you might guess, council members, she was never shy about telling us what we should all be thinking, and it was very much appreciated. Pam, thank you for your partnership throughout this last year. If I could bring this.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Take care.
With that note, I would, we always have a position, an ex officio position on the board for a city council member, and that participation is very valuable to us. So I'd encourage council to move quickly to get that filled. Our next board meeting will be January 11th. So thank you, council.
That'd be great. I'm not sure exactly what the selection process is for that, but if you're interested, why don't you send a collective email around so everybody knows, and we'll figure that out.
Yeah, just for clarity of the process, once you have made your selection through whatever process you want to use, then you would forward that recommendation to the Yellowstone County Commissioners, and then they would act to make an official appointment of that ex officio position.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. Other public comment?
Hi, I am Carissa Sundin. I'm the Executive Director of the Big Brothers Big Sisters chapter here in Yellowstone County. I live at 637 Wyoming Avenue. I have just taken on this role, and I thought it was important that you guys should know and the community should know we are a dying organization. With all of the things that are going on with the youth in our community, I think it's incredibly important that you guys know that we are in need of mentors and funding. So if we are also looking for new board members, and I can send an email around, Miss Jennifer Owen has been incredible with our cause and helping us get recognition and new people coming in to support us. So just wanted to let you know that we are in dire need of support. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Members of the city, we encourage all of that support. The time could never be more important.
Mayor, is this, am I correct in this? We're good? Okay, Chris knows. Okay, thanks. All righty. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Tim Mascarina of 243 Clark, and I am the chairman of the board of the Billings Leadership Foundation, and we oversee the Rescue Mission and Friendship House of Christian Services, which I'm a product of. I make public comment tonight to show my support for the work of the Montana Rescue Mission and its dedicated staff. Since 1943, Montana Rescue Mission has been serving the homeless and hungry of our community with dignity and respect. We have tremendous community, regional, and statewide support, as is evidenced by the tremendous fundraising progress we have made in funding and building our new campus to address homelessness and its root causes on Minnesota Avenue. We have accomplished our work day in and day out for 80 years with private dollars, not costing the city a single taxpayer dollar. Many people and organizations talk about homelessness. We do something about it. To show our impact, I'm proud to report that in the last 12 months, we have moved over 700 homeless persons to housing. 700 people would still be on the streets of Billings without the work of the Montana Rescue Mission and its dedicated staff. We have placed over 500 people into the workforce in Billings, filled 500 vacant jobs. We have seen over 300 persons with mental illness in our clinic and have brought stabilization, hope, and faith to the 1,250 persons who have come through our front door. Montana Rescue Mission works with a tremendously challenging and rewarding population. We serve the community, and our results are a testimony of our effectiveness. Thank you for serving the city alongside of us. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Tim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Matt Lundgren, 2902 Minnesota Avenue. I'm the Executive Director of the Billings Leadership Foundation, and as my board chair just said, we oversee the Montana Res Commission and the Friendship House of Christian Service. It's my understanding that you have received some information recently about the Montana Res Commission, and I would like to just clarify some things. First of all, there is not a limit to the days that people can stay in our emergency shelter. Our emergency shelter is handled on a case-by-case basis. When people come in, we assess them, see what they need, see what they want, and then we're able to talk with them. Second, we serve people from all over, not just Yellowstone County. We serve people from multiple counties, multiple states, multiple regions, and we serve those people on a daily basis. Next, just want to let you know that it is true that sometimes people are banned from our services. That's a fact. Currently, this year to date, there are 6 individuals that are not welcome, not allowed in the Montana Res Commission, and all of those people have a no trespass order by the city of Billings, by the police department, because of behaviors or situations that have come up. 6 people out of over 1,200 we served in the last year. The emergency shelter hours, there's some question about this. The emergency shelter starts at 6 p.m. and goes until 6 a.m. On days when it's exceptionally cold, which we haven't had any yet, it was 60 degrees yesterday, right? We do code blue, which means we are open all day for people when it's below a certain temperature and if people come to us, right? Sometimes the temperature's 20 degrees and blowing is a lot different than 20 degrees and sunny, right? But typically always when it gets below 20 degrees, we open up for code blue and people are allowed. That has not yet happened, and we're almost to the end of December. Also, residents of the shelter are provided lockers and locks to secure their valuables, and they were able to care for them and keep them safe. It is true that we don't currently have an elevator, but we do serve people. Even today, there was 2 people in wheelchairs, 4 people in walkers, 3 people on crutches. We do our best to serve people. Our new building, which you've heard about and many of you have toured, will have 2 elevators and ramps and will be fully ADA compliant, but we're dealing with a building from 1943, and we're going to fix it. We're just not there yet. And finally, yes, we are regularly receiving referrals from our state hospital at Warm Springs. We collaborate with them. Our licensed mental health center talks to them, and we are able to receive the people, mostly from Yellowstone County or surrounding counties that need our care, and we work with them on a case-by-case basis to serve those folks. Thank you for the opportunity to set the record straight.
Thank you, Matt. Other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Before we close, no one's coming forward, no one is online, so we will close public comment period and move on then to our first item, our consent agenda. First, separations. I will separate item 1A, 114. Which is the appointment of Elijah Tidswell to the Human Relations Commission, and that's just for the purpose of a separate vote because Councilmember Tidswell needs to recuse himself on that one. Are there other separations from the consent agenda? Okay, not seeing any. Do we have any motion for the non-separated items? Councilmember Purinton, do you have a question or separation?
I did have a question. Nicole Cromwell is serving on the Public Works Board. Is that just because they need a staff member on that board?
My recollection is that she's serving as a citizen and that that's come up before. I don't think we have a prohibition about it. We have on our form identification of whether you have affiliations with the city.
And then just one other question. On the separation of Eli Tidswell, so that Councilmember Tidswell can't vote on that because it is his son, but there's no change of money or there's nothing that would preclude him from voting for his son on that board? Just asking.
Right, yeah, and I'd leave that to the city attorney or our deputy city attorney. Our conflict rules do specifically address financial issues. And who knows, maybe Elijah will be taking his vast salary from that and kicking it back to his father. That's a joke. For anybody who's watching, these are completely unpaid positions. But it might qualify as a personal conflict is the word, but that's not very well defined.
Thank you. I think it's just the better course of conduct to avoid any appearance of impropriety or conflict in this instance. So if Councilmember Tidswell would like to recuse himself, that is certainly within the realm of reasonableness.
But I still want to recuse myself.
Okay, all right. Okay, so do we have a Councilmember Boyette?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the consent agenda items as read, except for 1A1 14 as stated.
Okay, second, Councilmember Purington. Any discussion? Councilmember Joy?
Thank you. I have a question for our Assistant City Attorney. Good evening. I've heard that there is a court case that is moving forward in the federal system, headed for the Supreme Court, about our opioid settlement abatement trust. And I was just wondering, as that court case moves forward, we have agreed to the settlement that goes through the Attorney General's office, as I understand it. We had that agreement, and council voted to pursue a settlement through the Attorney General's office. Is there any chance that, this is kind of a speculative question, but is there actually a case going to the Supreme Court that could affect the settlement that the Attorney General's office has negotiated for the state of Montana? Thank you.
Councilmember Joy, I am not familiar with the status of the settlement and any case that is pending before the Attorney General's office, so I could not opine on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions relating to the non-separated items? Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. If in favor of the motion, which is in favor of approval of the consent agenda, the non-separated items, please say aye.
Aye.
If opposed, say nay. That motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion now relating to Elijah Tidswell's appointment? Councilmember Purington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve item 1A14, Elijah Tidswell for the Human Relations Commission.
Thank you very much. Second by Councilmember Owen. Any discussion? Councilmember Joy.
Thank you. I just have a question for the Assistant City Attorney. Do we have, I remember at council we had a very long discussion about the age of people that sit on our boards and commissions. Is there any age, minimum age for a person to serve on a commission or board? Thank you.
18, I think. I think it's 18.
You have to be registered to vote.
We do in fact, I believe your policy has an age. I can't tell you what it is. We can try to pull it up. I don't know if anybody else is.
It is a good question because, and I'd forgotten about this, we only have to be 18. And at one point, I'm thinking that we tried to reduce, that there was a 21 limit for members of our commissions, which we thought was ironic, that we could be elected, but they couldn't be appointed. So there might be, and I think that's the question. So the kind of the basic question is, yeah, and I did look at our application, and the application only says 18, but I just want to make sure it is only 18.
My understanding is it is 18. Also, the Montana Constitution holds that 18-year-olds are adults for all purposes other than drinking alcohol.
Okay,
And smoking
so even if it
marijuana.
said 21, maybe we'd have to reconsider that. So, and Elijah is over 18? Yes. Okay, so hopefully that's not an issue. Okay, all righty, thank you. Anything else before we proceed to vote on that motion? Okay, don't see anything else. If in favor of the motion, which is for approval, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. That concludes item number 1. Move on to our regular agenda. Denise, would you read item number 2?
Public hearing, adoption, and execution of the amended program of projects by Billings Met Transit. Staff recommends approval.
Rusty?
Mayor and council, good evening. As was indicated in the staff memo for this item, you're typically used to seeing our program of projects adopted through the transportation improvement plan process for the area with the area MPO. It is at that point in that plan that we're actually putting together a new version of that plan for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, it's been held up at the state level for quite some time, and us utilizing our 5307 funding that we receive from the Federal Transit Administration annually, really want to get this program so that we can draw down on our operational funds. So we're opting to do a public hearing here with you tonight instead. We do fully intend in the future to go back to utilizing that TIP process in order to program these funds as we do with all other federal funds that we receive. That way you don't have to have 2 public hearings and hear from me twice a year. But this amended program here is really just to clarify the operating expenses that we had in there previously with the breakdown between the 50-50 match, the preventative maintenance, which is an 80-20, as well as the paratransit funds as well. So this program of projects was published for 30 days in Yellowstone County News prior to having this hearing as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have questions for Rusty? I don't see anything, so we do need to have, it's more than just a public hearing. We actually have to have a motion to adopt, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay. This is a public hearing, so we'll open it up for public comment at this time. If anybody would like to be heard, this is a public hearing on item number 2, the amended program of projects for Billings Met Transit. Please come forward. Is there any public comment on this item? There's no one online. There's no one coming forward. We'll close the public hearing and look to council for either further questions or a motion. We got Council Member Gulick.
Yes, having conducted a public hearing, consider written and spoken public testimony, I move to adopt and execute the amended program of projects by Billings Met Transit as recommended by staff.
Second by Councilmember Tidswell. Any discussion? Any discussion before we proceed to a vote? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. If in favor of the motion, which is for approval of item number 2, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 3, Denise, would you read item number 3?
Agreement with YWCA to fund a Family Justice Center coordinator position. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much. Chris, I understand you were going to kick this off and that Aaron is also with us for questions, right?
Correct, Mayor. So I'll just give a brief overview as was outlined in the memo, and both Aaron Lambert, the YWCA CEO, is here, as well as Katie Nash, our domestic violence investigator, in case there are any questions. But pretty straightforward, a critical part of continuing to move forward with the Family Justice Center. And in the draft strategic plan for the Family Justice Center is to hire a full-time Family Justice Center coordinator. Backtracking a little bit, over the past year, we've had full-time services provided to us through the VISTA program. Ellie has been doing a fantastic job for us, working with Katie, working with Aaron and the community, the council, and with our city attorney's office to get us to this point. Her service to the city is for 1 year. She started on February 13th of 2023, and she'll be done. Her last day is February 13th, 2024. And so with that, we wanted to move forward quickly. And so we've got this agreement between the city and the YWCA. The highlights are that the city would contribute a not-to-exceed amount of $55,000 annually to the YWCA. The position will be a YWCA employee, not a City of Billings employee. The job description is written up, and we're ready to start recruiting once, if the council signs off tonight. The contract period is, the initial period is for 2 years with 1 2-year extension. In the process of creating the strategic plan, there is some question as to ultimately how positions will evolve as we go from where we are today to where we actually are opening up a facility. So this continues to move us down that path. The core FJC, the Family Justice Center coordinators, some of their primary responsibilities is to move that strategic plan implementation forward. And as I said already, this has it as an employee of the YWCA in this partnership. So I think I will leave it at that. Like I said, both Aaron Lambert, Katie Nash, myself are all here, happy to answer any questions that you have, and recommend that you approve the agreement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's no public hearing, so I'll just turn it to council for questions, but I also want to just ask Aaron if you wanted to, you're not here just for questions, or if you would like to make any comments, please feel free.
Thank you for having me here, Council. I just want to say that this is a really important part of moving the Family Justice Center forward. As Mr. Kulkulski said, Katie and I both have full-time jobs that we're doing, and we are not able to move this project forward as it needs to be. So with hiring a person, we'll be able to keep the momentum going. YWCA has a long history of providing services for survivors of domestic and sexual violence, and we're excited to hopefully welcome a person on board that can help us move this project forward. While it will be a YWCA employee, I want to make it very clear that this would be a partnership and that we would be involving the steering committee and Katie and others in feedback with both hiring and candidate, and also the strategic plan moving forward process. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope that you'll support this.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, you have questions either for Aaron or Chris? Councilmember Roussos.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure I understand. We're hiring a coordinator to get us through the planning process. Eventually, we'll hire a director to actually run the FJC. But those are maybe two different people.
Correct. At this point, we would assume that there's a skill set for a coordinator that will move the process forward, and there may be a different person with a different skill set for the director position, but that would be addressed in the future when we're ready to make that shift.
And Aaron, my recollection from the meetings we had on the Family Justice Center is the best guess was that eventually it would have to be 3 people, or roughly 3 people involved with the management of Family Justice Center. Is that correct? So I just want people to think that this provides staffing for a Family Justice Center.
Correct. So I would envision that the coordinator position will help us move it forward. If and when we have a center up and running, I would imagine that there would need to be a director position. We would likely need to have an intake specialist who was greeting people and getting them, into the services that they need to be, and likely a receptionist or other person who would handle some of the administrative tasks of that. It certainly could be negotiated as we move forward what YWCA Billings or the city may be able to accommodate with existing staff. But I can tell you that with the staff I have at YWCA, we are completely maxed out with who we're serving at this moment. So I would say that yes, eventually 3 to even possibly 4 positions wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions for Aaron or staff? Councilor Beniz?
Yeah, for staff. Chris, on this, and I understand this is just a coordination position that you were hiring, but as this moves forward, and there's a lot unknown right now as far as how it may be organized and stuff. My concern is that we have one organization that is directing this moving forward, and it may not open it up to other organizations in the community that may be able to assist within this whole Family Justice Center service. And so how do we make sure that other organizations are brought into the fold, so to speak, to make sure that everyone is kind of helping to participate in this? It's not all this being funneled to the YWCA.
Sure. So Mayor, Councilmember Neese, and I'm sure appreciate anything Aaron would like to add. I mean, this entire process is a collaboration between dozens of agencies across the community. So the fact that the position taking this next step is a formal partnership between the city and the YW, it isn't. All aspects, including, I suspect, the selection of who gets hired, there'll be a committee on. There are multiple agencies involved in all that is going on to get from this stage where this was just a concept and an idea to where now we've got a strategic plan to implement, and now we want to move that plan forward.
Okay. Mayor, another question. Typically in these memos, we see that there's usually a spot here indicating that the legal has reviewed any agreements that are being signed. In this particular memo, I don't see that. And so I'm going to ask if the legal has actually looked at and reviewed this memo or this agreement to make sure that legal's okay with this.
They drafted it. So I worked with Gina. Gina drafted the document, then we pushed it over to the YW. And so if I missed checking a box there, I thought I had checked that box, that it was legal reviewed. It was written, drafted by our legal department.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, Councilmember Purington.
Thank you. So with this coordinator position, will they also have the ability, the capacity to apply for grants?
Yes, absolutely. There is one particular grant that is a US DOJ grant through the Office on Violence Against Women, that family justice centers are specifically a allowable activity. Billings would be eligible, I believe. The RFP for 2024 hasn't come out yet, but based on the 2023 RFP, Billings would be able to apply for up to $500,000 over a 4-year period that could support this. And I believe that would be a wise move for us, and this coordinator would be very helpful in getting that process done. Federal grants are a lot of work, so we would be, hopefully, they could help us do that. And there may be other funding opportunities as well, but that is one in particular that I'm aware of.
I just wanted to mention, and I've talked with Katie and Aaron just briefly, but the Choctaw tribe down in Oklahoma, which is the third largest Native population, they just finished their Family Justice Center. They also have quite a fund or a grant writing program, I guess, in various areas. And I think it is a U.S. DOJ, but it's for Native women. And I think that's quite a few of the population that you see in yours. So, yeah, I'm glad that you can, look into the various grants, and hopefully this one will also. And I told Jennifer, I said, we need to take a trip down to Durant, Oklahoma and see what's going on down there. They've got some great programs.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
I can tell you, Mayor and Council, in the recommendations in the strategic plan specifically, it asks that leaders in the community attend both their national conference to get exposure and visit at least one center in the country. So those opportunities are things that are getting on calendars and schedules so that we can learn firsthand, what we don't know what we don't know. This has all been a process that the Alliance has been helping us work through, and those are two very specific areas that they've asked us to participate in.
Okay, very good. Other questions for Chris or Aaron or Katie or anybody else? Okay, don't see any, so I guess we have we need a motion on this item. Councilmember Tiswell?
I move to approve entering into an agreement with the YWCA to fund a Family Justice Center coordinator position as recommended by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Councilmember Neese. Okay, any discussion? Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. Motion is for approval, item number 3. If in favor, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, Denise, would you read item number 4?
Tax increment financing assistance from the South Billings Boulevard Tax Increment Finance District to Rimrock Hospitality Billings LLC for reimbursement of qualified expenses associated with the construction of a new hotel at 4750 King Avenue East to a maximum reimbursement of up to $346,201 as recommended by South Billings Urban Renewal Association, SBURA Board.
Dick, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Cole, city staff, and guests. I am Dick Zier. I'm the consultant of the South Billings Urban Renewal Association, and I reside at 3039 Golden Acres Drive, Billings. Tonight, we have a request from it's called the Rimrock Hospitality Billings LLC in the amount of $346,201. This is kind of a schematic up on the screen of what the hotel will look like. It will create numerous jobs, 122 rooms, and I'll get to the number of jobs here in a second, but it's a 122 room hotel. The economic impact of this hotel will be tremendous on the south side and Billings. It will employ 10 full-time employees, and it'll also have 75 part-time employees that will be involved during the construction phase. This is kind of another schematic of what it'll look like here. This is where it'll be located, next to the My Place Hotel, and as you can see, it will be removal of blight and raw land there. It fits right in next to that area where all the activity is going on right now. And I think there's one more picture. Where's that? Oh, there it is. That kind of gives you an idea of how close it is to the interstate and how easy it is to get off of South Billings Boulevard and get right to it. The estimated payback on this project is 2.7 years for this request. It's approximately 2.9% of the total project, which has 16.67% allowable. Like I said before, it will create 10 permanent jobs. In addition, it will provide approximately 75 jobs during construction. The question has been asked a few times, would the business do this project anyway without our assistance? Also, the comment has been made that it is a national company such as Taco John's, the national parent company, is not the owner of this project. The owners of this project pay a franchise fee, which can be expensive. It's a percentage usually of sales, with the expectation that the name recognition will benefit it and also their reservation system. So it is not owned by the national company. Several businesses have located in our district the past few years, and our suburban board belief is that success follows success, and other businesses will follow, looking to locate in this district. The new businesses that are in that area already probably generate over $500,000 a year in new taxes. And with that, we can do a lot of other projects in our South Billings urban renewal, like continue to pave the streets. We put in a softball field down there, and later on you'll see another TIF request. But anyway, it does create a lot of extra money for us to do more projects down there. And I had a suggestion tonight from council lady here that we should look at maybe putting in some kind of strip mall. But this gives us more money to do more projects, and it's a very clean project. Providing assistance for curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and landscaping ensures that these parts of the project will be completed, because they don't get any money until they are completed, and they have to get a certificate of occupancy, and we'll do a walkthrough to make sure all the things are done so that they are done the way they said they will, and all the bills are paid. Again, the estimated payback is 2.7 years with the completion of this hotel. It will bring tremendous economic benefits not only to our district, but Billings and Yellowstone County as well. And I'd ask that you please approve this request. Just a quick sideline, some of the new businesses that are down there, I'll probably miss a few of them, but My Place Hotel, McDonald's, Taco John's, Wendy's, Subway's under construction, there's a coffee shop under construction, Domino's, and then Jackson Court Apartments are just about complete. And then Torgerson has one that's just about complete.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Questions for Dick or Wyeth? Councilmember Purington?
Just a quick one. I was looking on the sidewalks. Now, are those just the sidewalks, and this may be a Wyeth question, are they just the sidewalks that front the property that will connect them to the other properties?
My understanding is it'll go along their property, but I also have Greg Gastineau on Zoom here. He might be able to answer that question for you. Greg, can you hear me?
Greg, you'll need to unmute.
Greg, can you unmute?
Sorry, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there's a question for you. Would you go ahead and ask it?
Sure. I just wanted to find out on the sidewalks, are the sidewalks the ones that are only to the front of the property that connects to the other businesses along that route?
I don't know that that's the only aspect of sidewalks. It's certainly included, but we might have other internal sidewalks included in our figure.
Okay, I guess that's my biggest issue is with TIF dollars, those should be used for, to me, they should be used for public infrastructure that would connect to other local businesses to have that continuity. So I guess that might be a question for Wyeth. Is that not part of that TIF policy, or can it be internal sidewalks as well?
Mayor and Council and Councilmember Purington, I guess first, my understanding is for this application, it's sidewalks on the property, but it connects out to the internal street that connects in, and then there's sidewalk there too. So it's connecting this development parcel to the internal street, which then connects through out to King Avenue and throughout the development. So they're basically completing sidewalk connectivity from their parcel. And then I guess to the question in terms of this would fall into like private infrastructure with public benefit in terms of getting people moving through the area, connecting to this business, moving to this business, and also moving through the Miller Crossing development or out to the King Avenue East.
So I guess, if I may, Mr. Mayor, so I guess that also applies to the landscaping. We talked about landscaping, and it's quite expensive. $100 and some odd thousand, $129,000. And so my question is that when I look at these TIF projects, and I'm saying this is a good one, I'm not saying that it's not, but I also look at the qualifications from my perspective that that the hotel, and as Dick mentioned, I mean, this hotel would be moving forward with or without TIF dollars. But I do agree with using the TIF dollars for the main infrastructure that is the public. It's not private going into public, because if it's including the, say, the landscaping that goes around to the backside of the building or something, I don't know that benefits the public. I don't know, maybe whatever they see from the interstate, but I don't know if that's even the correct thing. So I just question those uses of public dollars for that.
My comment to that would be, it will be removal of blight, and it'll look good in that area, and it'll all be done, and rather than having a patch here, patch there that's not done. Now, when you say connect sidewalks, is that something that we should look at in addition to the property itself, that we can look in down the road to see if we can get more sidewalks in there? Is that what your suggestion, or?
guess what I'm suggesting, and I couldn't really tell from, the pictures that we got, was if you have a business here, and then you have the hotel, then you have another business here, that the sidewalks would connect along that route. If I remember right, that was part of the thing with the Taco Bell, is that it was going to be built out so that there were sidewalks. So in the event that more businesses are coming on board, which they are, to make that a walkable area for people that are in the hotels or visiting over to Cabela's or wherever, that they're able to connect. So I guess for me, it would be more of a connecting sidewalk and not an internal sidewalk.
Right.
And I don't know what that money would look like, but I'm just saying that's my preference on those TIF districts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Joy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to make a motion. If I don't mean to cut off any questions, when I'm going to make the motion, I move to conditionally approve tax increment financing assistance from South Billings Boulevard Tax Increment Finance District to Rimrock Hospitality Billings LLC to a maximum reimbursement of up to $346,201 as recommended by the South Billings Urban Renewal Association Board.
Thank you very much. Is there, see lots of, Councilmember Rupsis on the second. Further discussion, if people have questions for Dick, we'll certainly give you an opportunity to ask those. Councilmember Joy, did you want to speak to your motion before we go to other council members?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I do want to speak to the motion. My comment the other evening when there was a lot of comment from council about the burden on our residential property tax owners, my comment was you got to grow your commercial tax base. And that land is sitting as raw land that is very little benefit to us as a taxable property. As a hotel, it is a commercial property that will be taxed at, I think it's 1.38%. So that's a benefit to us. Secondarily, everyone who stays in that hotel will be paying $2 for our bed tax. That doesn't happen. Airbnb, they don't pay. All of these other kinds of accommodations that are available to people, they aren't paying our bed tax. Our bed tax is important to us, and our commercial base has to grow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Rupsis, you had the second. Did you want to address that?
Just really quickly, Dick, I actually brought this up with the Downtown Billings partnership with a project that they'll be bringing forward here soon. There's a lot of value, and we'll talk about this on another one of these things as well, in trying to project an ROI. And this one is a very small dollar amount relative to the overall project cost, but I think we get a little wonky with the projections when we just use a flat 80% of construction cost. I think it would be valuable when you bring forward like hotel or large projects like this to try to find some comparables, to say, here's what we have the My Place right there. We've got a couple other, comparable hotels right around them. What are they bringing in terms of tax revenues? It might give us a better idea of what that ROI actually is. There's new construction versus 10 years old, that kind of stuff. It all goes into that. But as a real estate, mogul yourself, I think you can understand that. I think we have some work to do on estimating those ROIs. It doesn't affect my support for this project, but I think in the future that might be something to consider.
That's a point well taken. I'll try to make sure I include that going forward. I do a lot of work with, evaluations anyway, so that'll be easy for me to find.
Thank you very much. On that point, I'm just going to ask Wyeth if he knows, in our calculations, it takes 80% of the project value to make some projection of future tax. Does that have any objective basis, that 80% number, or maybe other council members know either, right? Or is it kind of arbitrary, just doesn't use 100%, so as to be a little more conservative? But do you know what the source of that 80% number is?
I could maybe address that.
Okay.
Like I said, I do a lot of property evaluations, probably 150 a year, and the tax assessment, unless it's brand new and it's based on a sale, is usually approximately 80% of the true value of that property, and that's kind of it's an estimate, that's for sure.
Okay. There are other, Councilmember Gill, Councilmember Denise?
Yes, I'll support the motion. I appreciate the efforts of the Sabura Board and, you know, it's not, you know, a 1-to-6 match or something like that. You know, it's not, I will confess, it's not the kind of project I get super enthusiastic about in terms of it being a national chain. I really recognize as a franchise. I think I'd like City Council to, in 2024, look at a revised SHIF policy that would be informed by the cost of services study, but I think also looking at, I think there could be certain multipliers we have for based on local businesses. They have secondary and tertiary jobs. You know, the local business has a local, you know, payroll services, local graphic designer, local attorney, local accountant. All of those things help recirculate money into the economy that has value, that does actually have value to all of us. And so I want to be able to recognize that, you know, franchises may be somewhere in between, but that's something that I think could be a good thing to inform our TIF policy. But I appreciate the efforts of the Sabura Board, and I certainly want to vote for this in terms of creating a predictable environment for development, that's this our current policy. This fits in with it. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Denise?
Thank you, Mayor. Dick, I think this is the first project I've seen you present to us, and so I appreciate you bringing someone like this because I think it's something I can support as far as TIF goes. I think, you know, the vacant land developing is great. It's going to bring new money to the TIF district. That's what I like to see in TIF districts increase, but I am concerned. A couple of things is what Councilmember Purinton brought up. I also agree that the sidewalks and landscaping should be limited to right-of-way sidewalks and landscaping, not inter-sidewalks. And so the ability of you not to be able to answer that question about these sidewalks concerns me, that you're not understanding the project well enough to know, you know, what's going into some of these numbers. The other thing I like about it when I look at this is the ROI, the payback periods. That's something I kind of hone in on. And so in our reports, we see a 4.04, we see some handwriting up there with a 2.9, and then I hear you saying it's 2.7. So numbers have changed somewhere, and I don't know where all the numbers have changed. And I'm not going to ask you to try and explain it now, because I think overall it's a good payback period. If it's 2.7 or 2.9, it's a good payback period to bring money into the TIF district like we need to see. I think, as Councilmember Gulick mentioned, a project like this is going to bring jobs into that area as well, and probably demand on housing and things like that. So I will support this, but I would like to see better numbers on, you know, seeing how this is going to return the money back faster to the district. I think the mayor has a good point about if 80%, is that the right number, as Councilmember Rups has said as well. So I look forward to projects coming from you with some better numbers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other discussion to the motion or questions before we proceed to a vote? Okay, there is no hearing on this item, so council will move to the vote if there's nothing further. I don't see anything further, so the motion is for approval. Item number 4, consistent with the staff recommendation. If in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
If opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes item 4. Denise, would you read item number 5?
Tax increment financing assistance from the South Billings Boulevard Tax Increment Finance District to Billings School District Number 2 for reimbursement of qualified expenses for the solar installation project at Riverside Middle School to a maximum reimbursement of up to $100,000 as recommended by South Billings Urban Renewal Association Board.
Long time no see. Dick, this is yours. Take it away.
Okay, just welcome. I'd like to say that I live at 3039 Golden Acres Drive, and I'm Dick Zerum, the consultant of the South Billings Urban Renewal Association, and Merry Christmas to all you guys. They're asking, the total project, they want to put solar panels on Riverside School. They've done a few schools already, and they're trying to do all the schools in the district. It's District 2. The total project of this is $281,685,000. They've got, or actually it's $296,685. They've got a $100,000 request from us, and Northwest Energy has granted them a $60,000 grant that they don't have to pay back, and so we'll fund the rest of that. This is considered a nonprofit project since it is the public school district that is the recipient, so there's no tax return payback for the investment, and the city council is able to act on this application even if it does not meet the 5-to-1 private to public investment ratio. In this case, it is public dollars to public dollars. Northwestern Energy is providing a $60,000 grant to help fund this project. The Suburban Board found this project aligns with Suburban Urban Renewal Plan in supporting school and community services. Specifically in section 13 of the plan, it states school and community services assist in funding projects and programs in the district to enhance school playgrounds and athletic fields, health and wellness programs, access to community meeting and activity spaces, and other efforts that improve access to school and community services. This is part of School District 2's long-term plan to convert to solar heating, as some other schools in the district have already been converted. Please say yes to support this project.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions for Dick? Yes,
I
okay,
think Scott Ryder's on there,
very good.
if you want to ask Scott anything.
We'll ask Scott if he's got any other thing he would like to add. Scott? And if Scott, if you'd introduce yourself as well.
Scott Ryder, I'm the Executive Director of Facilities for Billings Public Schools. This would be our 7th project, solar project that we've done at the schools. We've completed the high schools, the 3 high schools and 3 of the middle schools already. This would be the 4th middle school. We're hopeful to get this project to work down at Riverside to give the Riverside students the same opportunity as the other schools. They put out they're estimated to bring about $10,000 in savings each year off of our energy bills. We've been realizing closer to the 9,000 mark. It just depends on the year. But they've been a great project to help the students learn about alternative energy. And I appreciate the help you gave on the Riverside project for the softball field. And I'm hopeful that you'll support this project as well.
Very good, thank you. Council, do you have questions either for Dick or for Scott? Councilmember Ripsis.
Thank you, Mayor. Dick, the Sabura increment right now is what, $5-6 million, somewhere there?
Yeah, right around at least 5.
What portion of that do you know, or some significant portion would actually go to the school district? If Sabura were to sunset tomorrow, some of that money would go to the school district, right? It's not all just city funds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea what that?
I'd have to.
Okay.
I don't know.
Certainly more than $100,000 though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for Scott or for Dick? Down here, there were some questions. Councilmember pointing at each other. So Councilmember Gill, Councilmember Denise.
Thank you, Nick, and Councilmember Rupes, that's a really good point. Thank you for making that about Sabura funds. Most is going to come out as a comment, but there'll be a little inflection at the end. That'll be a question. So I've just recently become aware that there are a lot of incentives for renewable energy in the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, and you know, traditionally there's been tax credits available. It doesn't do it a school district any good, and but the IRA does have an incentive, I believe, is worth 30% of the project costs that are available to. I think this would be a qualifying project, but the rules are just being made in this program. We haven't really, you know. I haven't looked into it, and it's not my project, I guess, either. But under Section 6417, I don't know if it's maybe too late for this project to use it, but it seems to me it would be nice to be able to preserve some of if it did apply to this project and could be sought, preserving more of the tax increment funds for other projects in the district would be great. These federal incentives are ultimately from taxpayers, but they would probably be mostly from California, Texas, New York, et cetera. So we'll take them. So anyhow, I think that's something worth looking into. Again, that'd be IRA incentive worth 30% of the project costs, and it's in section 6417. So, thank you.
Section 6417. Okay, so Scott, Dick, hopefully you can check that out and investigate that. Thank you very much. Councilmember Rivers. Councilmember Neese?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a question to Scott. You mentioned you had put some of these projects in around the school district already, and you're seeing a savings of, I think you said, approximately $9,000 a year per facility. Is that correct? Would you expect that same savings to be at this facility?
That is correct on both.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that information. I was really leaning to not supporting this, but as Councilmember Rips has mentioned, I do know that some of the TIF dollars come from the school districts, and I think there's appropriate times to utilize some of this money for nonprofits or even the city, as we have in the past, the school district as well as the city as we had in the past, and so. This kind of position where when we look at it, it's not going to increase the tax base to the district. We need to find out other ways. What is it doing to our tax, the people paying taxes to? In this case, it's going to reduce the taxes about $9,000 a year, according to what Scott is saying. I think those are the kind of things we need to hear when we're looking at projects that are not meeting the standards of the policy. What other things are going to offset the fact that they really don't fit? And I didn't see that. And the other concern I had is this application is from 21. I didn't understand why we were looking at documents that were so old. And so I am a little concerned about the whole application process on this, but I will support this because I think it's a good project for the schools. And I don't want to see the council hold a project up like that. That would help save some money for the taxpayers. And make some efficiencies there. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Joy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I move to conditionally approve tax increment financing assistance from South Billings Boulevard Tax Increment Finance District to Billings School District Number 2 to a maximum reimbursement of up to $100,000 as recommended by the South Billings Urban Renewal Association Board.
Thank you. Councilmember Ripsis makes the second. Councilmembers Joy or Ripsis, do you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The previous project that was done at Riverside made a huge impact on that area. One of the areas just behind Riverside School is a very high user of our public safety services. Lots and lots of calls, lots and lots of problems. And as we've moved forward looking at the impact of using septed and lighting and transforming that area around Riverside School has been tremendous. And this is just another piece of improving not just Riverside School and the students that attend, but that entire area. And the row houses are right behind Riverside School, and we know that those are very high users of our public safety. So I don't see any downside to this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ripsis, nothing. Other discussion on the motion? Is there any other discussion on the motion before we proceed to vote? Not seeing anything, and then the motion is for approval. Item number 5, consistent with the staff recommendation. If in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6.
Thank
Denise.
you very much.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Scott. Denise, would you read item number 6?
Tax increment financing assistance from the East Billings Urban Renewal District to Undammed Distillery for reimbursement of qualified expenses at 116 North 11th Street for a new tasting room, production and sales facility to a maximum reimbursement of up to $82,600 as recommended by the Billings Industrial Revitalization District Board.
It's a mouthful, I know. Mr. Mayor, City Council, happy holidays. I'm Michelle Harkins. I'm the director of the Billings Industrial Revitalization District, or the BIRD, as we lovingly call it. And I'm here on behalf of Alan Hodges and Undammed Distillery, or Undammed Distilling Co. And I'm here to talk about the expansion of his business, who's already in the BIRD, and his plans to own and operate a new facility in the eBird. The new Undammed Distilling Co., it meets our eBird master plan, our code and everything by expanding their operations in the district, expanding growth. That will impact multiple other bird businesses and properties, taking a vacant property and by adding a vibrant, thriving, and growing business. By going with our renewal plan by economic growth, industrial development, and infrastructure improvements, and increasing the land use in the district. It will add This little thingy's in the way. It will add 4.5 construction positions at the project and 2 new positions later on. Right here you can see where the project will be. It is in an up-and-coming area in the eBird. Toucan Gallery is going in and finishing the completion of their project. They will be opening in January. Rich Rand's Custom Design Hats is right up the street, and Red Ox Manufacturing is also in that area. What we're requesting for council today is $82,600, and this will, and this is a 10-to-1 investment, private to public. And this will go into the, they'll be doing a new tasting room at site, production and sales facility. And then it includes the land cost, but the land cost was not included in the reimbursable expenses for this project. So here's the project by numbers, just so everyone can get a little sight of what we're doing. And the payback period for this project is a little over 9 years. But we are taking the Bertel Fire Building, which has been vacant for years on that property, and we're turning it into a thriving business. And that's what we like to see in the eBird. We're taking Undammed Distilling Co., which is renting a space in the eBird, and we're giving the opportunity to own a piece of property, grow their business, grow their enterprise, and really see what this business can do, and while it's staying in their current district in Billings. We are some of the reimbursable expenses as architects, permitting, landscaping, and some safety things as well. In the timeline, this is just how we proceeded with the project through the TIF guidelines. When they turned in their application, when it went before a TIF review committee, our board, and until we are before you today. And here's the schematics of the outside of their plan. And how it will look when it's completed. I know this one is hard to see, but it will look beautiful, I promise. And here's the site of the current property as it is today with the Bertel Fire Building. There'll be landscaping. The plan is to get rid of some of the concrete on the outside of the building. The building will be painted. It will look completely different from the outside. There'll be additional windows and openings to the inside and the outside of the building, making more eyes on the street. They're going to take up some of the concrete on the outside of the building by adding landscaping. So when people walk into the building, they feel it is a more walkable and presentable building on the outside, making a more welcoming environment for the public and the people walking by. Because right now you can see it's all concrete on the outside of the building. There'll be an outside area for people to sit, enjoy drinks, and gather as a community, because that's not really the scene as you're seeing it right now. And then experience the growth. That's what we're trying to create in the eBird. I know there's probably a lot of questions, but but we are trying to promote small businesses here in the eBird community. But
Very good. Michelle, thank you very much. Did Alan's with us? Do you have any comments? Did you want to make any comments? You're welcome to.
yeah, come on up.
Just
Alan.
ask that you come to the podium.
I'm Alan Hodges. I live at 591 Indian Trail in Billings, Montana. And thank you for considering this. I started the company 3 years ago. And we have currently a space that is a little less than 800 square feet. I manufacture 5 different spirits. All of them sell out, and I need to make more, but in the current space that I am, there's no room to make more. And so this whole expansion project, which began a year ago, has been with the aim toward being able to manufacture more product to be able to increase our sales. We are, in fact, I'm meeting tomorrow night with our next full-time employee who will be starting with us. And then after we're in and running in the new facility, we will be adding another part-time employee, which would be 4 part-time, 2 full-time employees at Undam Distilling Company in the first year. Our projection is that after we get all the bugs worked out of the new facility, that we would quadruple production in year 1, double it again in year 2, and double that again in year 3. The sales that we project are, I think, impressive, but in the industry, even after we've quadrupled, doubled, and doubled, we would still be in the lowest tier of the state of Montana's taxation for distilling based on annual production. So the things that I'm suggesting are completely reasonable given the industry that we have with us. So any questions that you would have for me?
Great, thank you very much. Very informative. I think we do have some questions. Questions either for Michelle or Alan. Councilmember Purington.
Alan, I never thought about this. What is the taxation from the state on a distillery?
So there are excise taxes that I pay to the federal government and excise taxes I pay to the state of Montana.
Councilmember Joy?
Thank you. Since this is your opportunity for an advertisement, I guess, I'm not familiar with your product. What kind of spirits do you distill? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Joy. I named the distillery after the Yellowstone River, the longest undammed river in the lower 48. Each of our products is named after a stream in the Yellowstone watershed, and a portion of every sale goes towards conservation of the river. We currently partner with American Rivers, the Greater Yellowstone Coalition, and the Yellowstone River Research Center. We make a Ghost Creek vodka, which is unlike any vodka you've ever had. If you haven't tried it yet, I suggest you do so. Even if you're not a vodka drinker like myself, I still think, man, this is really good. We make a Hole in the Rock gin, which is an international style gin. I call it gin for people who don't like gin, because the juniper is less prevalent than in like a London Dry. We make a Thief Creek straight bourbon, and that is, it's what happens when a Scotch drinker makes a bourbon. It's very complex. It's not overly sweet. We have a Bear Skull Creek Montana whiskey, which technically is a malt whiskey because over half of it's barley. Idaho, Montana, North Dakota are the biggest barley producers in the country. So if you like beer, I like to say you're welcome, even though I'm not a barley grower. But for my sensibilities, if we were going to name something a Montana whiskey, it would be predominantly barley. And then we have the Shields River single malt whiskey, which is named after the Shields River coming down from the Shields River Valley, one of the few waterways that maintains its Lewis and Clark designation, named after John Shields, the blacksmith on the Corps of Discovery. And both the Bear Skull Creek and the Shields River have been given national awards.
Thank you. And they are available in local Billings stores, so like liquor stores around Billings. So a lot of people carry them. So you have the support of the community with his product.
And at Jake's Downtown, the Thief Creek Bourbon is their well bourbon. So
We're very proud.
yes.
Thank you. And Alan, while we're in the business of giving shameless plugs to local businesses, The gentleman who made this is Dan Maisel at Stonefly Studios, and they're the people who make those great fly boxes with the rivers cut into them, and of all types. So if you're looking at any sort of signage, you should be talking to those guys.
Thank you, Mayor Cole. I appreciate that because I am familiar with their work.
Okay, very good. Yeah, they're excellent. Councilmember Tidswell, Councilmember Neese, and Councilmember Rupsis?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. What's your target completion on that?
We are currently in the final stages of permit acquisition from the city, and awaiting TIF approval, and then we can start construction. The contractor is anticipating about 3 months of remodeling, and then we can start moving. I have been in the process of getting the state and federal applications ready so that when we're ready, they're ready, and I don't have to be closed for very long, is my hope.
That's exciting. Good deal.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Neese and Councilmember Rupsis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to draw attention to a report that we received not too long ago about behaviors and behavior deaths. And alcohol deaths have spiked since 2018 from average of 40 to 100 or to 60 per 100,000. And I guess the question is to you, is in your industry, how are you involved in your industry to help bring that death rate down of those who are related to alcohol death and addiction and things like that? What does your industry do to help to ensure that there's some type of help within those people who really can't handle alcohol or maybe drinking too much, and we see accidents happening like this?
So we are a highly regulated industry, including down to and how we advertise and the things that we have to say on labels, and all of those things encourage responsible drinking. At the same time, we also understand that alcohol can be addictive and is problematic for a number of people. So we are careful in terms of the state laws requiring that no one who is apparently inebriated is served at all, and that no one underage is served at all. I have a couple of things going for me that are helpful in that as a tasting room and not a bar, I'm limited to serving customers one cocktail. That's it. So there's a lot of things. I never wanted to own a bar. I do want to make fine spirits. And so for me, I have, because of the state laws, a lot of the issues that come with owning a bar, late hours, all kinds of issues that are problematic, are things that I don't have to deal with. In the 3 years that I have been open, I have had 3 customers who were inebriated that we did not serve. And that's it. Undammed has become the unofficial start to date night, just a heads up. Because you can only have one cocktail, couples tend to come in, have a cocktail at Undammed Distilling, and then walk to Buffalo Block, Last Chance, Walker's, somewhere for dinner. The other thing that I am attempting to do, and I think I'm actually hitting it, is that our spirits are fairly high end. And so what we do as a company in addressing that is we're not producing things that are cheap and easy to get. There's limited releases. They're not that available. As you know, we sell everything that we make, and so we're trying to figure out how to make more because it's hard to get. I joke with customers that my Ghost Creek vodka is harder to get than Pappy's bourbon. So we're aiming for, as a company, we're aiming for the higher end customer. So, and I know that is poor consolation to someone who's struggling with addiction, but nonetheless, we're hoping to be able to target to the people who are not struggling with addiction.
Good. Thank you. Councilmember Rupsis?
Thank you, Mayor. Michelle, I want to kind of bring this back to talking actually about TIF dollars.
Yes.
interesting as this conversation has been. Thank you. And I want to say I'm supportive of this. I love seeing the new businesses coming into the eBird, so I'm going to support the project. But I want to understand the ROI a little better.
Yes.
Because we've got an $873,000 project, and of which 495 is listed as land. And I'm wondering if that actually constitutes a taxable increment that would then affect our ROA. So what is that land, $495,000 actually representing?
Oh, well, the land, it's the land and the building itself.
That was the purchase of the building.
The purchase of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the land and the purchase of the building, which will be the tasting room, the production facility, the storage, and all of that. It will include the outdoor
Okay.
patio. It is the outdoor patio area that is going to be revamped for that.
Okay, so this is where I get a little bit off with how we're using these ROIs and how we're calculating these ROIs, because we talked a little bit about it with Dick, who was here a little earlier.
Yeah.
Here, we're now saying that our $873,000 project, 495 of which is just the purchase of the property. So we're really looking at putting in about $450,000 or $400-some thousand of improvements. And we're saying that we're going to increase the taxable value by $700,000. Maybe that's true.
Okay.
I'm just not so sure that I buy that. So I think we have to be really careful with how we're presenting these ROIs and what we're expecting to get back from them. Council had a bit of a talk on whether or not land should be used in that calculation, right?
Yes.
So I wasn't really sure whether I approved of that or not, but that being said, I think we need to be able to present accurate information here, and I think our ROI on this is probably way off. Even though, like I said, I'm going to support it anyway.
Yes.
I think we need to be careful about that in the future.
We had a conversation on this earlier, and we were just sticking with consistency on how we've done it, but we're going to revisit this from earlier. That's kind of the conversation, Wyeth, and we had with the mayor and everything. Wyeth wants to touch on this.
Yeah, I mean, Mayor and Council and Councilmember Rupsis, yeah, we, excuse me, actually, the other project you're going to hear about in a minute, we had a lot of discussion about regarding this, or at least the mayor and I did, and we had some emails back and forth. But yeah, we're going to have to look at how, there's sort of two different things going on, and at least in my estimation. One is that consistently, and you'll see this in the memos, we've included, when you're doing the total project, when you're totaling the project, we've included land acquisitions in most projects, especially when land acquisition was very recent. And then that's calculated then, if you're doing a payback, it's included in there. We don't reimburse for actual land acquisition. So we could, but we have not done that in Billings. So I think we need to look at both the issue of, do we include land in the calculation at all? And then certainly, do we continue not to reimburse for land, so.
So I guess that was a today decision, since we were discussing it today, is just stay with it for consistency now. And then when we revisit with the other conversations we talked about discussing TIF moving forward, that was one of the main topics that we discussed, how to move forward with being consistent with every project across the board.
May I just speak?
Yep.
The current assessed value is under 200,000. I think it's somewhere around 183,000. I can't speak to what the new assessment will be after we're in there and the remodeling has taken place. But my anticipation, at least, is that the assessed value would be dramatically higher than the 183,000 that it currently is. So there's some recouping in terms of simply the taxation that I'm anticipating I will need to be paying in the future is significantly higher than it is today.
Okay, thank you very much. Further questions or discussion on the motion? Just a reminder, council, we do have, actually, we don't have a motion on the table on this item. So is there further questions or a motion? Our motion maker, Councilmember Joy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I move to conditionally approve tax increment financing assistance from the Ebert Tax Increment Finance District funds to undammed distillery to a maximum reimbursement of up to $82,600 as recommended by the Billings Industrial Revitalization District Board.
Okay, is there a second? Councilor Boyette. Now discussion on the motion. Councilmember Gillick.
I need to recuse myself from this item because my business is the architect for this project.
Thank you very much. Now, further discussion on the motion. Councilmember Joy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I guess I'm just going to keep on talking. No, I won't. I'll stop at some point. One of the things I do like, I understand the discussion about the downside of alcohol absolutely has a very significant and impactful downside to it. But one of the things I do like about the discussion is that this is a Billings-owned, Billings-operated, Billings-branded, Montana-branded, somebody who really cares about our community and wants to invest in it. And that, for me, is a huge positive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Denise?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to support this item. I think that fits the numbers. I think it's going to help the eBird in some, so I will support that. I would encourage, though, people in that industry to really take another hard look at what they do. I appreciate what they're doing as far as donating for the rivers and stuff like that, but as you get into this situation like that, you start realizing that there's a lot more need for support, and there's a lot of gaps and holes that I'm learning. And so I would appreciate the industry help within the area, maybe donate in that regard within the industry. But I will support this because it fits the numbers. I think it's great to have a local small business like this. I think it'll be a nice little place, like you mentioned, a date night starting off and stuff like that. And those are the kind of things that where you get the community together, couples going together and doing things like that. I think is a good thing to do as long as done responsibly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the motion. I'm just going to comment. I will support the motion, but to second Councilmember Rips's comment, we do need to come back and, in my opinion, look at how our policy addresses land acquisition as an element of all of this. It's often the largest, or at least a very large element of these projects. And in most cases, the mere transfer of ownership, I don't think, adds value. And that's the goal here, is to raise the tax increment. And so basing how much we pay based on how much went into the land acquisition just doesn't make sense to me in most cases. But in some cases it does. Just the transfer of property may trigger another DOR evaluation, which in an increasing market may add increment just because of that. Also, if it's a unique property that has been, because of who owns it, not developed, and all of a sudden it finds itself into the hands of a very capable and dedicated developer, that also adds value. So there may be circumstances, but we've got to think through that and in the future. But that's in the future. So any further discussion on the motion? If not, we'll proceed to a vote. The motion is for approval of item number 6, consistent with the staff recommendation. If in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 7. Denise, would you read item number 7?
Tax increment financing assistance from the East Billings Urban Renewal District to Bird Street LLC, Billings Brownstones, for reimbursement of qualified expenses for the demolition and abatement to build a 22-unit housing complex at 216 to 224 North 18th Street to a maximum reimbursement of up to $86,776 as recommended by the Billings Industrial Revitalization District Board.
Back to Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Harkins with the Billings Industrial Revitalization District, and we have revised this amount with permission from the applicant and my board to $56,078.55. So I will move ahead with that number. So I'm here on behalf of Birch Streets LLC. All right, here we go. I'm putting a disclaimer of who we are, and here we go. So, here we go. Here's a little bit of information on Tiffany and Dwayne. They have done numerous projects in the eBird already. And have had numerous projects here in Billings. Already in the eBird, they own a work-live unit, which is part commercial with an apartment connected. They own a 6-unit residential, and they are both on the same block as this proposed property. So after this is completed, they will own all on the one side of the block except for one house. And they are also trying to buy a property that is directly behind this unit that just had the DEA bus for a big drug issue that just happened a few months ago. So they are doing tremendous things for the eBird community and especially with housing there. So the request is, the revised recommendation is $56,078.55, and this is results in a 5-to-1 ratio. And the total project cost is $336,404. This aligns with our master plan with encouraging diverse housing in the downtown area, with urban renewal efforts and supporting goals of the city, and then just having more housing improvements throughout our district. And you can see here that I marked where the project is going to be. It's going to be on those northern 3 lots, and they own those other 2 on the southern side of the image right there. Here's the project by numbers. And here I can get more self-explanatory into what these are. But these are the permits for demo is the fees. We have asbestos testing, asbestos abatement, and the demolition of the houses are all those in the below. The total project cost is at $336. The maximum TIF is at $56,154, and that is what is being requested here today. Here's the current state of the project. There's 1 vacant property and there are 2 houses there. There is 1 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 3-bedroom, 1 bath. And though you do see 2 houses that are currently there, they had to remove 1 resident and the other one is vacant. And this is because the land underneath is unstable and they have to actually put, what do they call it again? Piers in them to make the houses livable and for their new project, they have to put piers completely under the entire project because the foundation and the ground underneath is unstable and the houses are beginning to fall in. So that is a big expense of their next phase of their project. Here's the timeline. It pretty much mirrors. Both of their TIF applications got sent in on the same exact day. And so we followed the same time frame for both applications. So it was a fun Friday for me. All right. So phase 1, we're going to demo the properties, get them all ready for the site work. And I know you're wondering why is there a phase 1 and phase 2. They are actually coming forward with phase 2 pretty much after this. They will answer the questions on why there's a phase 1 and phase 2. It'll probably be easier if we were both up here. But I know you're asking phase 2. It's going to have 22 units, and this is what they're going to shake out to be, and that's what they are currently. So we are replacing 1 vacant property and 2 houses that are there that have a 2 and a 3-bedroom with 22 units that will have the following. So we are getting rid of 2 housing units that aren't currently livable. They will be replacing them with a lot more housing units that will be safe, secure, and that will provide a lot more housing for the Billings community, which we are in vital need of right now, and that they've been doing a great job of in our community. So you can see I have a different experience for everyone. These are on our pool banners that you will see if you drive through our eBird community right now. And I will open up to any questions that the mayor and city council have at this time. And the youngins are here, so I will bring them up as well to answer any questions that you have for me or them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I do want to give Dwayne and Tiffany an opportunity, so if you want to add anything to Michelle's presentation, please feel free.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. You're so awesome. And can I just say real quick, I love the pre-date night thing. We've been there. It's awesome. And as a bird proponent and people who care about what's happening in that area, I'm so excited about his project. So, but one thing I will say about the 2 phases. So we have been fixing up houses in Billings. We'll go and we, care about the job we do. We're super sick about bad foundations, so don't even get me started on that. But we do typically single family. We did do, at the time it was 8 units. I don't know if you guys remember the pottery shop and really the drug den that was right next door, but we went in and gutted it. It's beautiful. We've got amazing tenants that they communicate well. We named the building. We've really taken a liking to the area, quite honestly. And on the flip side, it's also hard to sell anything in that area right now. We want to change that. However, as usually we do smaller projects, we do have a lot of investors who have expressed an interest in helping us. Having said that, without the entitlement process, it's been difficult to get to that next phase. So without being able to, what we were hoping to do was sell some of the units on the other side to help us be able to be more independent about it. But instead, we are gleefully keeping the other properties. If you look them up, we've taken them off the market and we're very thrilled about it. So, however, we've been able to find someone who believes in the project. They know, they see us as good operators and have been willing to invest in this first phase. And then what we need to do is roll it into the second phase. So we're just hoping that you can see the vision and see what they see, which is this is a more conservative, fiscally way to do it. And we appreciate even the opportunity to bring it to you. So thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Dwayne, anything to add?
Very good. I can answer any questions if they come up. Yeah,
All right. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of good things happening in the bird. Okay, so questions for Michelle, staff, or the younger ones? Sorry, Councilmember Purington, Councilmember Dre?
The only questions that I have had to do with parking. So I would assume that some of this is going to be on-street parking as well as your 14 parking spaces, I think it was.
Yeah, there'll be some on-street parking, and we're also doing some back-end parking as recommended. And
Yeah.
For the public parking, you mean, for the on-street parking, it'll be back in?
So they'll be doing.
No, I don't like that.
I know you
should
don't like
never have
back in
said that.
parking, Pam. I'm so sorry. But yeah, they'll have some parking spaces on their lot, as well as we'll be adding some more back end parking on the street as well.
Well, good luck with that.
I know.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Everybody's been telling us the city council loves back in, but apparently we got some.
Not all of city council.
We're trying to do what the vision is for the
Sure.
city. I mean, that's really our desire.
The other thing is, as long as they have backup mirrors, but I have one, it still doesn't help. So the cost, so you're saying you're going to rent these? The other units that you built, was it last year or year before last?
we remodeled those 8 units,
Yeah.
put $500,000 into that.
And they're rented.
And they're all fully rented. And
Okay, so these will be rental units. So what sort of price range will these be?
These are, we consider it like workforce rentals, so they're kind of right in the middle, just a little bit low of average is what we're looking at. So, $1,000 for the 1 bedrooms, 12 to 15 for the 2 bedrooms, about 18. There are 2 3 bedrooms, so there's 18 for that. So we're really trying to meet the need of the workforce.
there'll be 1 ADU in the back.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Joy. And Councilor Rowan?
Thank you. I don't have a disclosure. I don't have any interest in this, but I do want to acknowledge that I say good morning to these two people every day at Burlington schools. So, and they live in Ward 3. So I just want to acknowledge I am acquainted with the applicants.
Thank you, Councilor Rowan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify, I'm not sure that I understand. Do you anticipate coming back for a Phase 2 TIF incentive as well? Okay, and is the timeline still to begin construction next year? Okay, so we'll see you back again fairly
You're
soon.
going to see us really soon, so I hope you like the project.
I would appreciate, this is not squarely in the nexus of your project here, but I'd appreciate your expertise and insight in it. I think residential development in the Ebert is really critical, but as we do more residential and more dense residential, there's a real gap in the Ebert of childcare access. And so I'm really curious to understand what types of things might make it more advantageous for people doing higher density developments to include actually an on-site childcare facility, to develop those partnerships, to begin thinking about that. So you may not have an answer now, but since we're going to see you a little more, I'd sure appreciate your thoughts and folks in the Ebert in general, because it's a gap in that area.
In our little commercial spot, it's currently rented to a church, but we've had several people want to rent it as a daycare. There'd be a lot of changes to make that happen, so you really need to do like a brand new build, in my opinion, or something. It'd be really cool.
But what would attract them? Like, what were some of the things in that area that? I mean, security is a big thing, quite honestly. So, first of all, I love that because for one thing, this project to our investors is a small project, and so what our vision is going through this whole thing and then potentially doing additional projects. And I couldn't agree with you more that that's a huge. Not just in the Bird, but everywhere, but bless you, also in, I think exceptionally so in the Bird or in the downtown area. So it is on our radar. Don't know what we're gonna do about it, but it is something that we're passionate about.
So if anyone's out there listening, we have a lot of property in the Ebird, and if anyone wants to build a daycare facility, call me.
Very good, thank you. Councilmember Neese.
Thank you, Mayor. No, daycare's not up my alley right now. So, and I'm going to follow up on Councilmember Owen's question about you'll be back. And do we have any idea how much is going to be requested on the Phase 2 of this for Ebird? And then if for some reason the council were not to approve Phase 2, would this project just sit where it is with vacant lots?
How much your total project's gonna be?
Quite honestly, I don't know what we'll request because we're all, like we go to Michelle and we're like, hi, what do we do, But I can tell you that the total build cost all in, including this phase, is going to be right around the 4.5 to 5 million.
Okay.
If that helps, does that help?
It does, and then so if for some reason that the council approves nothing in Phase 2, would that project still move forward, or would that die now that we've helped you clear the land to be vacant?
I will tell you this, the expense of building in the Bird is a lot because of the ground. I would like Dwayne to speak to this because he is a pro in this area.
I don't know about that, but anyway, we're going to make this project happen.
Yeah.
We're passionate about it. As far as I know, going for the investors and stuff, knowing that we're getting, possible city help on this is a huge advantage and a huge, you're building in an area where people want to see growth. So that's cool. There's a lot of extra expenses in putting 67 piers in the ground. The windows, the glazing, if we can adjust those a little bit, it will save, $30,000 to $40,000 in the window package. Everything we look at it, like a lot of these projects is, 6 figures on every.
I see.
But we are in it to win it,
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Then, Mary, I have another question. You mentioned that one resident was you had to move out.
Yeah, the basement walls in that big rainstorm fell in.
Okay, so I'm wondering, and I'm not sure of this or not, but when there's a TIF project like this involved, is there any kind of displacement that you need to make sure that you're housing residents who have been displaced by a project? Are you making sure that person was rehoused somewhere else? And
that person didn't pay
She
rent
hadn't paid for like 4 months.
Yeah, for like 4 months, so, and, we had to get her out because of safety. It was not a safe place to live.
She had gotten notice for not payment, and then it became an emergency helping her get out. So Dwayne did go and
We had to go help her
helped her,
physically move her
yeah,
stuff
get
out,
her stuff and.
with her.
I see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. For any further questions, Councilmember Gillick?
Thank you for your interest, your love of the bird, and I think this is a really good project. And it's a pioneering project, right? A lot of us see the vision, but there needs to be some people who take the step forward and actually, take a few arrows or whatever it takes and demonstrate that it's possible to do it. So I really appreciate having this project. Can you, we've already talked a little bit about the phasing. I guess I still want to know a little bit more. I feel coming into this, I'm going to support this project, but just coming into this, I'd rather see just one big ask rather than the phasing, but I may not understand what you're up against and what the reality is. So just help me understand a little better how is the phasing helping you, secure your investors or whatnot? That'd be helpful for me.
Well, I'm just going to say something real quick, because this is what I've heard a lot about people who come to me. It's hard for that middle person to build a development. Like, we have like bigger developers in the area, but it's expensive to build housing in Billings, especially in like places like the eBird. So phases are what's helping people build, especially affordable housing, because it's what they need to do to accomplish it, because it's how they afford to do it, because you can't just like shell out all this money. So if they can do things in phases and kind of like pay some, get some back, put more money into it and get it back, that's how people that aren't, like Max Griffin and other big developers can afford to do things like this. It's, they're trying their best to redevelop blocks and redevelop the eBird, and they can do project after project, but it's going to take them steps. And I think that's what they're dealing with here is, they are getting the plans ready to be able to showcase it to people and sell it to people. And if they didn't have those plans and have the ground ready to go and be like, we have this project ready, here's what it's going to look like, here's what we're going to do, the people are like, you need to come to me with the vision. We need to see the actual plan. And I think that's what they explained to me, what it took to get those other people involved. They weren't just, people needed to see the vision to actually get in. And, yeah.
I can be a little bit more specific too.
Yeah.
So imagine we bought these two houses, like we were gonna fix up one of the houses. And then, we'll get rid of the bullet holes and stuff like that, like we're good. And then someone came to my husband and was like, would you like to buy this house? We're like, sure. And then we got the other lot. And then we're like, well, we've been doing real estate for a long time, and this is at the time we felt like this is a really risky project. I don't know if we want to do it. And we spent a lot of time at the Bird asking a lot of questions and talking to a lot of local builders. And so we bought the 3 and we had 2 renters in them. So we were able to break even. So we're like coasting. But when you're talking about, 180 to now maybe closer to the 200,000 just for design work and engineering and all of that, taking that jump from where we were to like, okay, we're going to do the design work. We're going to go have our committee meeting at the city. We're going to, there's just and then we have to carry it, right? Because remember, we apply and then it takes a long, we're trying to time everything out. So we were super protective of anyone who has a stake in this. And so we made a decision that no matter what, we're going to do this project. And that's when we went to one of our mentors who also is an investor. And we also had another mentor who came in from out of state and spent 2 days with us looking at different apartment buildings and talking to us about the process and things like that. So we took a lot of time just to go, are we going to really jump in and take, because that's it's $300,000 for the carrying costs and all the design work. And then, we need to go, set up the financing. And, we've met with local lenders and they're really excited about it as well. And So we just really wanted to get in our ducks in a row if we even wanted to take that next step of entitlement. And then when we did, we're like, okay, how can we make this happen and be the best stewards of the money all along the way? And this was the way that we felt that it was. We spent a lot of time talking to Michelle about it. Should we or shouldn't we? Because, you know, originally we were talking to Zach. And so we've been talking to the bird for, you know, quite some time. And we've just loved working with Michelle. But at the end of the day, we just felt like this shows our first investor how, you know, how good we are and what good stewards we are. And you know what? He is considering investing in the next phase. So right now he's the one that we're like, okay, we need to really show him we're amazing at this. And then it's, you know, also showing the other investors that he knows as well as the other ones that like, look, you know, I know we said it, we've been talking about this TIF funds, but then it's like, wow, you know, Billings really is behind creating a really great space. And I mean, just not to get too off topic, but I believe that East Billings is where all the cool stuff's going. I mean, look what we have. We have it Undammed. When we had our commercial unit for sale, we had artists came in and they showed their work, a restaurant. I mean, that was all just because they wanted to show it somewhere. And that's the kind of culture and environment and vibe that we see. And you see bigger cities, that's what happens, is the weird, funky, broken down stuff. That's where everybody wants to go build something cool. And then it attracts people from all over the city. It's something different than, you know, if we go to West, I mean, we spend a lot of time in West End, but, you know, we love downtown. It's walkable to downtown. And so that's our vision. That's why I hope that answers your questions about the phasing.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Council, just a reminder, we do not have a motion on the table on this item. Is there, Councilmember Gulick?
I move to conditionally approve tax increment financing assistance from the eBird Tax Increment Finance District funds to Bird Street LLC for the Billings Brownstones project to a maximum reimbursement of up to $56,675.
$56,154.55.
Thank you. That amount.
Councilmember Boyette, I'm
As
just looking at the
recommended.
spreadsheet. Are you?
56,078.
What?
Oh, what number do you have?
Oh, this was Wyatt's email from about 4 o'clock today. Okay.
Going to round it to 57.
So we're good with that amount? Okay.
So
What
can you
I
clarify,
said,
Councilmember Gulick, clarify that?
Oh, see, all right. $56,100
$54.55 is what the spreadsheet says. Is that the number?
Yes. As recommended by the Billings Industrial Revitalization District Board.
Okay. And again, the number was $56,154.55, consistent with the spreadsheet. Okay. And second by Councilmember Neese. Discussion now on the motion. Councilmembers Gulick and Neese, did you want to speak to your motion?
Other than just, I'm enthusiastic about the work you've been doing in the eBird, and I think it'll be a good project for paving the way for others, and good for our tax base and providing housing in our community. So good job. Get it done.
Okay, Councilmember Neese.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for willing to take the risk and come to the eBird and build residential houses. I've been asking for that. I think when Zach was there too, I said that's what the eBird needs, more residential housing there. I'm really excited to see this project coming forward and looking forward to when it gets completed. And so keep us updated on that. I think that's a great project to be moving forward on. So more rooftops, I think it's going to help with business down there in eBird. So thank you.
Very good. Any other discussion on the motion before we proceed to vote? Okay, you have the vote, or you have the motion before you, which is in favor of item number 7, consistent with that number. If in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. If opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, finally, public comment on anything that's not on our agenda tonight. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? No one's coming forward. We don't have anybody online, so we'll close the public comment on non-agenda items. Council initiatives. Councilmember Joy or others, are we going anywhere on that one right now? We're not.
Just a little update. The chair of the subcommittee, Councilmember Neese, has put the topic that I brought forward as an initiative on the agenda for January. So in January, there will be presentation, and the subcommittee will start the work of starting to understand the subject matter.
Okay, so there are no initiatives before us tonight. Then we're adjourned. Everybody, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you next year.